Best way to get kids interested in hunting. We got an Instagram message. Some people say take them a lot. Some people say don't take them at all, or don't push them, or don't I don't know.
I mean, it's just so dependent upon on the kid. You know, you meet ones that are just, I want to do what Dad's doing. I want to get involved in that, and then
Sure.
you've got some pre-crossbows.
Yep.
Nowadays,
Depending on the kid, right?
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, we also used to have laws that said you couldn't hunt until a certain age, and it seems like, for the most part, those are kind of a thing of the past. Now they just leave it up to the parent in most places.
But with
Kids
the crossbow, getting rid of the noise, the sound, the kick, you know, people, I've seen a lot more people bringing them out and introducing the sport younger, and I don't know if that's the right answer either.
Alrighty, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a minute. I've been very busy, but we have not had much luck this summer getting out and doing much fishing because all the floodwaters. But today, my special guest is my son, my 5-year-old son. Got a bunch of questions for you, so we're gonna dive right into it. So, do you remember your hunt last year? How'd that go? Do you remember what happened?
I shot a deer
Do you remember how you shot your deer?
because I got to stay quiet.
Because you got to stay quiet. Well, that's kind of what we're going for. How many points did your deer have?
I can't remember, but I did shoot one.
You can't remember how many points you
I
had?
only had one antler.
Only had one antler. He was a 3-pointer, which was pretty cool because I'd seen that buck earlier that morning and kind of planned for him to come into that food plot and worked out. But what else do you remember about it? Do you remember when we went and found him? Where was he at?
He was in the trailer, but just hanging in that tree down.
Down at the bottom?
Yeah.
Was it? What would it look like down there?
There was a creek, and it had it was this big round spot with trees and stuff.
Lots of trees, real thick. Yeah. Hard to explain when you're 5, but so basically we're getting at trying to see how much of this hunt that he actually remembers. So you remember sitting, you remember he had to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
What about when the deer was coming in? Do you remember how you felt?
I felt great.
You felt great? It was exciting? Yeah? You think you'll remember that forever?
Yeah.
Yeah? What was he going to say?
Who, me?
Yeah, you were just about to say something.
Well, when I shot it, I really loved when it ran because it just went.
When it ran?
Yes.
Yeah, he kicked and got out of there. Well, let's see what else we got. Some people think that 4-year-olds shouldn't go hunting. What do you think?
I think that they should.
He thinks they should.
It's a one age down.
One age down. So, I think what you're trying to say is, if you're too young, probably not. Like when he was 3, he was still too short for his arms to touch everything he needed to shoot a crossbow properly. So we had to actually wait till 4. So he was ready mentally at 3 and wanted to go. And at this point, we'd already been running around since he was 2, you know, looking for mushrooms, looking for turtles, hunting deer, chasing turkeys, just hiking in general. He's been in the wild as long as he's been able to walk. What else? We know it was a good hunt. We know it was your first deer. What else is there? What else do you remember? Anything specific?
I shot it with a crossbow.
You shot it with a crossbow. Made a pretty good shot. That's your first time ever shooting a crossbow at a deer?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you smoked him at 4 years old. Now you're 5. Are you excited for this season? What do you want to kill this season?
A turkey.
A turkey? Well, that'll be in sometime in October. What else you want to kill? Another deer?
Yep.
What do you want? A bigger buck? You want a doe? What do you want?
I want one like this.
Oh, that's too big. You pointed at a really nice 9-pointer. That's a bit of a jump. That's another thing. That is where I put a limit on what kids can do. I'm trying to get them introduced into the...
Do you see the one in front of the American?
Yeah, something like that. It's still a little big because it takes a while to get them big ones. Even at my age, you got to work pretty hard to get them nice ones. But stay focused here, Bobby. What was we saying? You want a big buck.
And I want a turkey.
And he wants a turkey. That's all. That's all he's worried about. We do a lot of fishing, do a lot of hunting, do a lot of fishing, do a lot of hiking. It's 8:30 in the morning. We're a bit scatterbrained. He literally woke up 10 minutes ago. But the whole point of this is I'm a huge fan of Bowhunt or Die. I watch every episode that comes out that includes their podcasts. And recently, Justin Czar decided that they were going to speak about when is too young to get into hunting. And honestly, I think it 100%, like Todd said, depends on the child. Yes, they're going to be interested in what dad's doing. I'm not going to pressure them like forcefully to go out and do anything that I'm doing. However, if they're wanting to go, I'm going to make time to attempt to take them out. I have 2 biological sons and 3 biological kids. It's 2 daughters and a son. My first daughter killed her first deer at 7, and I promise you she had been able to shoot before that. We just hadn't had the opportunities, and when she finally actually went out, had a perfect opportunity, she made an absolute perfect shot, better than a lot of adults make, mind you. And then my second daughter, she had a rougher go. She grazed a little 4-pointer. She was 6 or 7 also. And then she shot a doe pretty decent, but a little low, and ended up not getting her. But the left to right was good. And then she finally ended up getting one at the beginning of last season, and we got so lucky where the animals pretty much just stood there. I mean, I think we had 2 or 3 hunts where they literally gave themselves to us. They just wouldn't go away and run off like a normal deer, and they were able to get good shots off, take their deer, and we ate pretty good. So then it was Jax. He was up to bat. We went a few times. We had a lot of luck as far as seeing deer, seeing bucks. Getting up super early many times. You know, he's gung-ho to go, but then he would start to fall asleep in the morning, so we would have times where deer would come in and he was asleep in our lap. That's just the nature of the game. I still fall asleep sometimes from time to time, even in the tree stand, so I mean, you can't rule that out. But finally does have one come in perfect, gets a crack at it, smokes it. It is one of my favorite hunts. Obviously, it's my kids. Every one of my kids' hunts is one of my favorite hunts. But Jax's was just awesome. He smokes it. We go down in the woods. We find it. We drag it up to the food plot, do our little interview. And at no point did I feel like he was too young for any of that. At no point did I feel like I was doing him harm by taking him out and doing real things. But another thing Justin said was, oh, my kid might want to eat candy for dinner, but I won't let him do that.
Just because your kid says he wants to go do something doesn't mean you should let him do it, right? I say this all the time. My kid could tell me he wants to eat candy for dinner. You know, I'm not going to say yes just because that's what he wants. Well, he wanted to go hunting. Well, I didn't think he was necessarily ready. So
that doesn't compare to hunting in any way, shape, or form. That doesn't even compare to going out walking and hunting. Candy for dinner. That sounds terrible. That sounds like you're going to be up all night.
Back to the kid thing. I think getting kids exposed to it when they're young is good, right?
Yeah.
You know, I would bring my kids on blood trails and let them see animals when we brought them home.
Yeah.
You know, maybe get them out to sit in a blind or a ladder stand when it's warmer early in the season so they could get an experience and kind of like work them into it. Take them out shed hunting is fun. They can walk around and do stuff. Take them out to check trail cameras. Like that stuff's all good. You know, when it comes to the question of like when do you get them started hunting, that one is a little bit, I think, touchier because I see a lot of guys that are like so proud of getting these little tiny kids out there hunting, you know, and the reality is like the kid's probably not going to remember that, you know, when they get older. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't understand like taking a
doing
life.
it because you're like,
Yeah, and they're having fun, and then they're kind of getting like social media clout. They love to brag to their buddies. My kid killed his first buck when he was 4, you know, and it's like, all right, man. I mean, to each their own.
How many times do we hear that more at trade shows?
Oh yeah, and I think it's parents doing it more for themselves than for the kids. Like just because your kid says he wants to go do something doesn't mean you should let him do it, right? I say that, you know, I've struggled with that one. I got Joey started at 8, which even now I'm like, I don't know. I mean, seemed a little young, You know, my youngest Jake will be 9 this fall in October. He wants to get out and try to shoot a deer.
Cool.
So I'm gonna take him. We're gonna see if we can get it done. But even then, like, I don't know. Like, we started at probably 12, probably for you, because that was the law then.
That was the law.
You know.
And with the law thing, like, dude, it did kind of create some anticipation too. Like I remember
Sure,
being
when you
like,
have to wait for
hey,
it.
Dad, I want to go, and they'd be like, dude, you can't go. You're not 12
Yeah.
yet. But I can tell you one thing, dude. I remember that buck I shot when I was 12 years old, man.
Sure.
Basically, he's suggesting that hunting, taking your kid hunting, is as bad as eating candy for dinner. Don't know how you came to that conclusion, but as a fan of the show, I'm obviously not going to stop watching the show because I have a disagreement with you, but specifically on this matter, from the start, I thought this was a weird one. I was like, because I've got him on Facebook and all this other stuff, and I've seen so many things that make me think he watches my videos, whether it's the funny ones, the podcasts, or the serious ones. But seeing him say that, and then specifically say, and I'll post all this stuff in this video, that my 4-year-old killed his first deer. What parent wouldn't be proud of that? And why are you taking so long to take your kids out? I've been taking kids since I basically was a kid, and we pretty much started at 7 and 8 with every kid. They were all gung-ho at that point. They were all good shots at that point. They handle pressure pretty well at that point. And actually, just about every kid I've ever took has been successful at a very young age. We've had plenty of success with kids going out. I would say nearly every single kid I have taken out from a young age still either goes or wants to go. Some of those are now in their 20s. One of them, actually, there's only 2 kids that don't really go hunting anymore. They're almost all of them are adults now, but you got to think the male and the female aspect too, and who they're raised by makes a difference. One of my nephews, I've taken him once or twice, and he wants to go. Now he's older, I'm older, getting the times to match up and still be able to take him and get him into hunting, because it is something that takes a little time and it takes some planning. But he hasn't got to go. His sister, she went once or twice also, and then again, that's my sister's kids on one side and my sister's kids on another. I'm around one set more than the other set, so like these 2 from her haven't really went out much, but they still talk about it, especially the male. He still talks about wanting to go out and talk to them like they're some mythical creature. They have names, I'm just not giving out names right now. And then on the other side of the board, all these kids from my other sister have been successful, and 2 of them still hunt, and the girls who have their own lives, one of them has a second kid on the way. This to tell you the time frame, how long I've been taking people hunting. They have kids of their own now that I'll also be taking hunting in the next few years. But for the time being, still trying to get them out, and they're still trying to go, but we're just trying to match up schedules. Everybody's older now. And also I have my own kids, so I'm balancing my hunts, Tiffany's hunts, and then all 5 of our kids. I should say 4, because my oldest, she's kind of in and out of what she wants to do outside. She loves to fish, used to love to hunt, but her mom got in her ear, and you know how that can go when you're in 2 households. There's just talk, but I just leave it be. You know what I mean? I don't pressure her to go out and do anything. The only one and only time I ever pressured her to go out and do anything was because her mom gave her a cell phone, which I do not agree with, and I would have been the bad guy if I said no cell phone, which I eventually did end up doing. But it had confined her to her room for months. She wasn't doing anything else, and we couldn't get her out. And I basically was like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to come on a hunt with me and your sister, and we're just going to, hey, stay in here. We're just going to see how this goes. And you know, I didn't pressure her to do anything, but when her little sister couldn't get a shot at a turkey, a fall turkey, I asked her if she wanted to shoot, and she said sure, which they both had licenses, so she popped one, and to this day it's on the wall, pictures on the wall. I see her sitting over there. She's an artist like me, so she likes to draw. She sits and draws by her pictures and her mounts. You know, whether or not she goes hunting again or whatever, that's whatever. But that's the one and only time I've ever pressured any of my children to actually go out against their will. And she was not the hunter. She was just meant to sit, not being confined to a room and actually getting out and experiencing life, making memories, whether they were going to be her memories or not, they ended up being. But regardless, that is not the point. The point is, give them the opportunities. And in my case, I don't give my kids cell phones. I banned it from my house. It's not allowed here, and it's changed the game completely. She's back to the person she used to be. She's so much nicer, so much more happy and laughing. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to do with your kids. You want to raise them correctly. I'm going to assume Justin most likely has either phones, tablets, video games, something that he's given those kids, because he's acting like his kids, his youngest, I think he said was 9, and he's saying that 8 and 9 was even too young. At 8 and 9, I was being turned loose with a .22 and could kill my limit of squirrels and make it back home and never do anything bad, never shoot in a bad direction, never do anything that was not supposed to happen, basically. And yeah, that's harder to do nowadays. I couldn't turn my kids loose now. I just can't trust the rest of the world. But that being said, 8 and 9 is not too young. In fact, that might even be pushing over the top. Just because some law at one point in time said that kids couldn't hunt till 12, it doesn't make it a right law. That doesn't make it justified. That makes it some politicians' ignorance at some point. And it's been altered because more outdoorsmen are speaking up now. I'm speaking up right now to tell you it is 100% up to the child and up to the parent whenever they are ready to get out and hunt. He was ready at 3, but his body wasn't big enough. Once he was 4, I made sure that he could shoot good long before I took him out. He had to be able to hit the target good enough to kill a deer, and they all shot better than expected, all of them. Yes, the crossbow helps. Having it on the tripod rest, that helps. Why wouldn't you? This isn't about taking things from nature or taking things from kids. This is about giving to both. You're giving your kid options and abilities early that they will, if they're anything like you, they will use. They will make better. They will make their life better. They will feed themselves. We teach our kids it's not about just killing. It's about the meat. You're providing for the family. That's meals. That's sustenance. That's happiness. And then those memories, we put them on the wall, the pictures, the mounts, and it's just that much more. You get more from it. The more you want, the more you get. And I think sometimes the negativity, it seems to fester in people when someone does better. Maybe someone's upset that a 4-year-old went out and had success killing his first buck. Don't know why you'd be mad about that. Clearly he's capable. Clearly he's not fidgeting and acting crazy right now. He's just hanging out. But, and this is 8:30 in the morning. We just woke up. We're just trying to get this over with before it gets too hot today. But in my opinion, I think you're a good shot. I think you sit decent in the blind. He's a kid. He's going to sit as well as a kid can sit. But, the blood trails, whatever. That's cool and all. I went on blood trails with my dad, but I also got to sit with him and hunt. I also got to start hunting when I was like 8. So it's just about where you are. Back then, we had shotguns and stuff, which were still a little bit much at 8. It was a little rough shooting a shotgun. And they came out with 410s whenever I was a kid. So we bought a 410 like most people did around here. And the 410s and the ammo we had was just crap. We couldn't get anything consistent enough to be positive that whatever we shot was going to die. And eventually that led to me getting rid of my 410 when I was a kid, and mostly hunted bow, mostly hunted muzzleloader, and then I finally got a 44 when I got a little bit older. And that 44 I was able to teach a lot more kids on, because at that point I'd start taking kids, and that made a big difference. But had we been able to shoot a crossbow all those years, that would have made a bigger difference. And 1, it's quieter, 2, there's no kick, and then 3, the kids kind of get scared from like the loud noise. But you take away that, and in the archery game, it's the whole reason we are archers, is because we like the quiet. We don't like the chaos that comes with the boom of a gun. You've disturbed the woods. Things heard it for hundreds of yards away, maybe miles away, but you've disturbed the area. And with archery tackle, whether it's a bow, recurve, longbow, compound, whatever, those things are quiet. And when you can allow a kid to get in there and be quiet early season, put some food on the table, make a memory, you really allow their mind to actually grow, and you stop restraining them. And you're restraining them whenever you tell them, oh, you're not ready till you're 8, 9, 10. That's unacceptable. That's getting in the realm of borderline bad parenting. If you are a very passionate hunter and your kid wants to go, give them the opportunity. Let them shoot. Shoot with them, whether it's a crossbow or not. If you are not into crossbows, don't let your prejudice to a crossbow affect your kid's ability to get out there and do it too. Just because they can't shoot a bow doesn't mean you can't put them on a crossbow if it's legal in your state. It's legal in mine. I take my kids out all the way to 4, and they're able to put a good shot on an animal. I wouldn't have put him out there if I thought he'd make a bad shot, but he made a good shot. So, but I can see you're getting a little bored. I appreciate you, sir. You can go get you some popsicles or something. I'll see you in a little bit. Don't slam the door, please.
I won't.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Now that that's all said and done, I feel like I covered all the points I was really trying to cover with that. It just really seemed aimed at our situation, to be honest with you. You could see Justin fidgeting like he was thinking specifically of one incident, and I can't name a single other video on the entire internet that has a 4-year-old killing a buck with a crossbow. But they mentioned crossbow, they mentioned 4-year-old. I mean, and after all the times that I've seen things mentioned like the wah 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 wah, which I do as a funny thing for several videos from cartoons, right? Never seen this stuff on hunting videos until I put it out there, and now all of a sudden I see him doing it, which is whatever. That's the whole point. You know, we bounce off of each other. We're human. A word becomes another word, becomes another word, blah, blah, blah. That's how humans work. We ping pong things off of each other. But you can't ping pong things off of each other if you're going to turn around and criticize people. Obviously not specifically, and this may not even be about us. Obviously it's a possibility that none of this is about us. But it was awful specific. They mentioned a crossbow. They mentioned a 4-year-old. Down to a T, it just sounded like they were talking about our situation. You can be jealous or mad or call me a bad parent or whatever you want to call, or said something about it was for like social media clout.
Like social media clout, they love to brag to their buddies. My kid killed his first buck when he was 4. You know, and it's like, all right, man. I mean, to each their own.
How many times do we hear that more at trade shows?
Oh yeah, and I think it's parents doing it more for themselves than for the kids. Like, just because your kid says he wants to go do something doesn't mean you should let him do it, right?
I don't give a fuck about, have you watched any of my videos? I don't fucking care what people think about me. I don't. I put out my opinions, which are very, very controversial, to the point of I know when I put them out, the majority, who are mostly brainwashed people, whether it's in religion or even in the hunting world, there's brainwashed people that believe, oh, the newest thing is the best. Oh, the next, they gotta have this, and when this new tech comes out, they gotta have it. That's brainwashed. You don't know anything. You just go off of what the next new thing is, the next shiny, flashy, everybody's doing it thing. Just like saddle hunting. It's not better than the original hunting that we've done for the last 20, 30 years. It's not better. It's up there in the same category, maybe, but in my opinion, it was not better. In fact, something that was slightly better was literally just taking my safety harness and then my lineman's rope and standing on a platform the same as you would for that, but you can lean back and chill, and there's no strain on your gonads and all that extra mess that comes with saddle hunting. Even sitting in a stand is 10 times better than sitting in a saddle. I don't care if you've had success. It doesn't matter if you can be in a slightly more crooked tree or whatever. None of that matters. It doesn't. The only thing that's making people more successful these days is cell cameras and having the money to have a lease. That's a big thing. If you have the money to have a lease or have family property that you already know nobody can hunt, nobody's messing with, that makes a big difference. And if you don't think it makes a big difference, then you're just a fool who doesn't get out enough to understand anything. But I've hunted off of permission pieces and off of public land, and every little way you can. Even my little piece of property, I've got 2 food plots on here. I got 5 acres of 2 food plots. And most of this acreage is my yard. Like, I barely have any woods. But I'm still out there putting in the effort, and I'm attempting to make a solid place for me and my family. Main goal being the kids, which it might upset you, but I'm 112%. I'm going to take my kids out again, and they will most likely all have success again, at least a couple of them. And if the 5-year-old has back-to-back consecutive good hunts, or good years, you know, who cares? It's not about you or your feelings or what your kids are capable of. It's not. It's per kid. If you think your kids are not capable, don't compare yours to mine. I've got video proof of my kids killing deer almost every year, to be honest with you. If you even go back to my nephews and nieces, I've got video proof of taking them all the way back to 8, 9, 10, 11, all of them. So you can't sit here and say it's not. Like, these are kids from different places. My sister's nothing like me, so her kids they're not my kids. They're nothing like my kids. My kids are completely different than those kids. And then my kids are going to be completely different than your kids. And your kids are going to be completely different from the next group of kids. You've got to get it in your head that just because your kids may not be ready doesn't mean everyone else's are not ready. I already knew my kids could shoot. The hardest part was keeping them quiet in the blind, which is with anybody. I've even had grown adults that won't hardly sit there. But another thing he mentioned was he didn't think, which I already spoke on this, he didn't think that a 4-year-old is going to really remember it. My 4-year-old just proved that he remembers a lot of his hunt. And he's groggy at 8:30 in the morning and still understood and knew what I was saying for the most part. But I am 100%, you should know this because you film, you go out, you put this on a computer, you edit it, or maybe you don't. I do. I edit all my own stuff, so I go back and I watch all my videos, and I definitely catch things I don't remember, and even more so on hunts that are further back. Past 3 years and on, I've got hunts all the way back to like 15 years. When I go back and watch any of those, I'm like, man, totally didn't remember this, or I didn't even remember that person was there. You see what I'm saying? So, like, to say a 4-year-old, for your argument to be, oh, the 4-year-old may not remember, what does that matter? What does it matter? Knowing there are definitely hunts, there are even kills that you don't remember right now, but if you see a picture, it's going to jar that memory, and you're going to go, oh yeah, this hunt where this happened, and this, and then you're going to look at that video, and you're going to be like, I didn't even remember that. It's almost hypocritical to think that kids are dumber or something, or that they're just not going to remember, when clearly we as adults still have moments we don't remember. Not everything is just this mark in your mind that you just automatically go back to. I've killed hundreds of deer in my lifetime. Lots of them with a bow, a couple with a crossbow, not very many. Plenty with a 44, plenty with a muzzleloader, a couple with a 6.5. I remember most, if not all, of everything. And I can tell you, your memory must be crap if you can't remember your childhood, because I remember not getting to go hunting with my dad up until the point where I actually could shoot a shotgun, which was around 7 or 8 roughly. But I remember wanting to go, and I never could because they didn't have a crossbow. They didn't have the 410 yet. They didn't have these abilities for us to get out and go in our state. So I just had to either sometimes, very occasionally, because as a hunter, you want to go out and you want to kill a big buck. You can't take a little kid in the tree stand with you, especially if it's not a 2-man stand, and kill a big buck. You're bringing more scent, you're bringing more noise on the way in, you're trying to conceal another person that has to sit still during this. A little kid has to still learn this. You know, on the smaller spectrum, you want to start with smaller deer. You don't want to spook off a big giant deer that your dad's hunting. You want to spook off a little 3-pointer that you're hunting. So I remember very vividly many things from my childhood. I actually remember when I was 2 years old mushroom hunting with my dad at Hardin Ridge. Very vividly. Like, most of the mushroom hunting I did with my dad when I was that young, I can still remember. I remember the locations. I remember the mushrooms I found. So maybe your memory sucks. I don't know. I even smoke. My memory should be worse, but yet I still remember all these things. I don't know what it is about someone to think that a little kid's not going to remember something like that. They're not going to remember the games they play on your fucking phone. They're not going to remember the video games they get to the next level on. That's the shit they're not going to remember. What they're going to remember is that time that Dad worked his ass off, taking you over and over and over to give you the opportunities for you to finally make your first shot and a clean kill on your first animal. That's what they're going to remember. At 4 years old or not, he's going to remember that. And it's going to become more vivid. And to make it that much better, as you know, because you also film and you film your kids, I've watched them, I still watch them, and I still will, again, like I said, I'm expressing this. I videoed this. So even if there were parts that his mind didn't remember, it's all on video. So the kids will get to go back and watch this, and it'll never become something that they can forget, because they will jar those memories every time they watch the video and remember that feeling they had when they pulled the trigger. They're going to remember that feeling when they fist bumped Dad. They're going to remember that feeling when they walked up on their deer for the first time. They're going to remember the feeling when we drug it back up into the food plot, did our little interview and took some pictures. They're going to remember the moment we got home and all the other kids came out excited that he got one. They're going to remember that, 4 years old or not. Now, the fact that I even had to make this and throw it on here as a podcast is ignorant. We, as archers, as outdoorsmen, as a fellowship in the hunting realm, should be doing better. You shouldn't be saying, oh, when's this, and blah, and have these little specific ticks that I'm watching. As a people person who's watched people my entire life and kind of been on the back burner, so I've learned to read people, he had something in his mind the whole time they were talking. He kept coming back to it. Go watch it yourself. It was yesterday. But he kept coming back to it. So every time the subject would start to change, he would fiddle, bring it back up, because he wanted to say this specific scenario that had something to do with a 4-year-old. Am I wrong for saying that I think it's kind of obvious he was aiming this towards us? Maybe. Or maybe I'm completely right. It looks 100% like he's talking about our specific situation. Our specific hunt with a crossbow and a 4-year-old who was successful. But I'm not going to complain and bitch about your kids probably being on tablets or phones and not being ready because you chose to allow them to do non-outdoorsy things. Maybe if you take your kids out more and stop worrying about the YouTube channel as much, you'd understand that your kids are more than capable of taking deer from any age that they think they're ready. If you can put them on a crossbow or a bow or a gun and they shoot well, and you think that they could kill an animal, why not? What is it hurting for them to get out and provide for the family, even if they didn't remember it? Even if you didn't film it and they didn't remember it, what is it hurting? You allow your kids to play video games, you allow them to go to school, which is a giant indoctrination camp, teaching people to work for 8 hours a day, hate their lives, not get paid for it in the beginning. I hated it as a kid. 12 plus years, 8 hours a day, bringing homework, you bring your work home with you, you have less time to be a human being, and a lot of people died in this process, so their whole life was school bullshit, and then before they really got to even try to have a life, or what we pretend is trying to have a life, those people died. It really doesn't make sense to me. But I understand education, I understand making kids smart. I do that on my own. I educate my own kids, I correct them. If they've done bad, I discipline them correctly. Nothing over the top. There's no ill will, there's never anything bad around here. We are doing what you're supposed to be doing without the biased input of people who think 4-year-olds shouldn't go hunting, or think that there's an age where it's too young. It doesn't matter about age. Maturity is everything. My kid was walking at 7 months old. What was your kid doing at 7 months old? While we're nitpicking what kids can do, what they're capable of, most kids don't walk till they're 9 months to a year, sometimes even older. Both of my twin nephews were 14 months when they started walking. There are levels. Not everybody's on the same level. Again, this is the problem with schools, because they want you to all be on the same level. It's about boxing you in and making you think one way. I don't do that. I won't do that. And I refuse to sit back and let somebody post something that definitely looks aimed at someone specifically, even if it's not aimed at me. You were thinking of someone specifically that took their 4-year-old out and their 4-year-old had success, and for some reason that bothers you. I'm not sure why that bothers anybody. And if anything, that should bring your spirit up. That should give you some hope for the future, that the next level of kids are going to be into the outdoors. They're going to put good shots on, and they're going to have a good time doing it. But if we're going to sit here and point fingers, I'm going to point a finger back and say you most likely need to take your kid off of the tablet, video game, or phone and take them hunting. Stop thinking they're too young or they won't remember it, because they will. And your ignorance to that doesn't make you right. It actually makes you just ignorant to the situation. And ignorance does not mean stupid. Ignorance means you do not know the difference. You need to experience more. Like I said, I've taken kids since I basically was one. So for the last 15, 20 years, I've been taking kids hunting. So for the last 15 or 20 years, I've experienced seeing kids more than capable of taking deer, now all the way from 4 up. That's my experience. Maybe you should go get some of your own so you can have a better outlook on everything. Like I said, I watch the show all the time. And I actually say most of the time I would probably relate more to Justin Czar than I do Todd. We just have different styles, which in any ways I'm not like either one of them. But if I were to say why I'm watching the show, it's probably leaning more towards Justin Czar. He just has more of what I feel like I'm trying to watch. Todd's a great dude. He's very intelligent. He's always on his food plots. He's always thinking. But he's more like, he reminds me kind of Mark Drury. And that's just not kind of who I am. You know what I mean? Like, it's a great person. They do their own thing. They do a great job. But it's just not quite what my lifestyle leans to. So whatever Justin's doing, for some reason, I like watching his hunts. I like listening to what he has to say. But if you're going to point things out and then show a lot of signs that you were very specifically talking about one situation rather than a bunch, like they acted like they were, yeah, these videos should happen where someone comes up and says, hey, if you are talking about this situation, and then break it down like I did. Now, like I said, if he's not talking about our situation, whatever. Either way, we broke down the reasons why that still makes no sense. Like I said, because there was a law at 12, that's not a justified law. That's a stupid law meant to keep kids away from hunting. You can believe whatever you want, but you really need to get outside the box and think of what you actually think, or what you actually see. And what I actually see is them, back then especially, limiting. I started deer hunting in Indiana whenever I was 8 years old. That's when I got my hunter's education. I passed it with flying colors. I think I only missed a couple questions at 8 years old. I started Jacks at 4. We have 3 years of apprentice. That's 4, 5, and 6. So at 7, he will have to be prepared for the test, which we actually do the physical test. We go in, we do the 2-3 day course. This way he's getting a real physical memory, not cheating on the computer and having someone else do it for him. We do the actual thing. We teach them about safety. We teach them about where to and where not to point things, when to touch the trigger, all these things. Safety is number one when it comes to my kids. I want them to be safe before they're happy and and hunting and all that. But there's no need in making this a big long video. That was the main thing I wanted to talk about. The only other thing is Cedar Bluff. I usually go fishing there a lot, but I usually take my kids there, I think, more often than we actually go fishing. The fishing's really crappy now. Used to be good, it's gone downhill. But that being said, took the kids, the water was up a little bit, it was a little murky, so I decided, you know, me and Colton, we're going to fish around the kids in this one pool and let the kids swim, and then whatever's getting kind of spooked to the outside we'll try to catch. We didn't get any bites. The water was a little bit quicker. Kids had fun. It wasn't quick enough where they couldn't swim or anything, just quick enough where it wasn't calm enough for the water to be clear and the fish to be able to see your bait very well. So ultimately, no bites. I end up realizing I lose my phone at the top of this pool. It's too murky. We walked around feeling for it, never felt for it. Decided to come back the next day. That gave it about 24 hours for the water to come down a little bit and for us to get in there with some goggles, some cameras, do as much diving as we could and grid this area. We did not find the phone in the waterproof box, which is bigger than the phone. So I'm thinking it had just enough air in it that it didn't stick to the bottom and maybe the water just kind of pushed it and it tumbled, or maybe even partially floated. But didn't find it. I walked about 100, 200 yards down, still didn't find it. Caden walked a really good ways down. I don't know how far exactly. He claims 2 miles. I would say at least a mile, mile and a half. And I don't know how good he looked when he did this, but the problem with water is it doesn't stop. It's a constantly flowing situation, so if it is bouncing along, right now it's probably headed towards Salt Creek. It's bad. It's just, I had a lot of memories on that phone. I usually, about once a month, I take everything from my phone and I save it, so all my pictures and shit, but I hadn't done it this month, and sure enough, lose my phone like an idiot. I could have left it on the bank. And usually I just put it in my pocket and it doesn't come out in that case. Well, it did somehow and I lost it. So I had to get another phone, and I'm still working on getting that set up. For some reason it's complicated these days to switch your number from a lost phone. But I've had the number for years, so I'm not going to change that. And yeah, we've been running trail cameras. We don't have anything big going on. We got a couple little bucks showing up, lots of does, lots of bobcats, turkeys, coyotes. Plenty of things we don't want, plenty of things we do. Bucks are about to shift here in the next week or two, so we'll start to see some bigger bucks here soon. But the main thing is we've had a good time getting to this point, thinking about season. We've got some food plots in the work. I'm actually about to plant another one. Same one where Jax killed his 4-point, where Lily killed her bearded hen. It's where Mila missed her doe. She didn't miss it, she stuck it and we didn't find it. It was just low and broke legs more than anything. Same place where we've had encounter after encounter, and honestly we're just to that point now where we're just ready to get out in the woods. But still got a couple months before season. We're going to shoot a lot with the kids. We're going to get well prepared. Hopefully the kids will be a little quicker on the trigger this year and we can be more successful faster and fill the freezer back up, because we're pretty much empty. We have a family of 7. We eat a lot of wild game. And that's another thing. I think a lot of these other YouTubers, like maybe even Bowhunter Die, I don't really see them filling tags on very many does. So I don't think meat is their number one priority. Meat is our number one priority. And the kids' tags are significantly cheaper, which we've explained to them. So if you want to come out and have a good time, we're like, yeah, absolutely. Make sure you can shoot good. Come put some meat on the table. And those kids, when they're eating their own deer or watching other people, you just see the light in their eyes. You see how much excitement they get from something they did. But that's to those people who understand that kids aren't these little brain-dead mush balls. They're actual people that are growing into adults. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you have to get out there and understand your kid. If your kid's not ready, so be it. It's not a big deal. If your kid's not ready till 8, again, it's not a big deal. It's not someone else who's successful at 4's problem if your kid's not ready. And it's nobody's problem to care. We don't have to sit here and say anything about that. It doesn't matter. If they're ready, they're ready. If they're not, they're not. That's all there is to it. You're making it a bigger deal than it has to be. But I've said my piece. I feel like I covered everything I wanted to cover. Hopefully that kind of ignorance can disappear, because that is just sad that even a successful hunt for a 4-year-old who had a blast, they can't, like even the parents, because like he's not on social media, but he can't enjoy it because people like you are out here complaining that he may be too young and he might not remember it. Think about your own situation. Worry about your own situation. Raise your kids however you want to raise them. Whether it's on a tablet or not, I don't care. I think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's making good people. But I raise mine outside, and it makes a difference. Mine like to fish. They like to hunt. They are good shots. They do remember this stuff, and they absolutely love watching themselves on YouTube. I watched little kids on hunting videos my entire life, from VHS to DVD to YouTube to Reels. It's never stopped. It's been since the moment I started hunting with my dad, and we started watching Buckmaster videos and old night muzzleloader videos and whatever else. But I've watched it. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, my kid was one of the youngest I think I've ever seen do it. Obviously there's been a couple other kids, 3 or 4, who have done it. What is it hurting? How is their experience, which was positive, bad? They fed the family, they made a good memory, they made a good shot. I think you need to worry about yourself. I think you need to look into yourself and then worry about yourself. Well, that being said, I feel like we covered everything. I think we're pretty much done with this conversation. There's a lot going on out there. I ain't going to be able to cover it all right now, but as far as all this, hopefully that sheds a little light. Hopefully we can find a balance of less judgment by adults. But yeah, again, that's what a podcast is for. You're welcome to make those assumptions and questions, put them out there for people to think, but you also have to expect people to make a video back and specifically mention your name, because you don't, on the sake of the website and not looking bad. You guys don't mention people's names unless it's a picture of the success that you do at the end, you know, for the little picture thing. But yeah, you don't mention people's names in a negative light because you don't want to bring a negative look on your website or your channel, and that's fine. I understand that, but I also understand what I know, and what I know is there aren't enough videos of a 4-year-old shooting a deer with a crossbow for you to think, or for me to think, that my video wasn't the one specifically in mind. No, it had nothing to do with social media. No, it had nothing to do with clout. My kids were on my ass about hunting since long before deer season, especially that little one. He had to watch all the other kids hunt from the year before when he was ready, but not able to shoot yet. So I done what a real father should do and gave him the opportunity. He did shoot good, so I gave him the opportunity to hunt, and he did prove that he was ready. But to each their own. If you aren't mentally ready for a 4-year-old to be successful, again, look into yourself. But if you aren't ready for your kids, take them out more. I don't know what you're doing. Fish more. Shoot more. Maybe your kids are the ones who really aren't that into it. I have 4 out of 5 who are 100% into it. And if you watch the videos of the 5th child when she was 7 and 8, killing a buck and then a doe the next year, crazy excited. She blood trailed her own deer. She just lost her mind, had the adrenaline rush, and you just can't give them that in any other form of anything. Hunting is the only thing that can give kids what those situations gave them. You know that, I know that, every other hunter knows that. But that's my piece. I've said it. I don't apologize for my views. I will not. I honestly think you need to, I really hope this gets back to you, and I really hope you watch it, because it's pretty sad that a 4-year-old is being judged, or maybe it's the parent being judged. But it's pretty sad, because absolutely nothing bad about any of that happened. It was all good. It was 100% good. The deer died in 35 yards, if not less. So what's bad about a kid having success, making an awesome memory that you think he won't remember, yet it's on YouTube and he'll never forget it? I'm lost. All right, that's all I think I need to say. Appreciate everybody watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you have not. This way you're actually getting notifications of everything we put out. We just put out another video where I was looking for my phone. Ended up being an actually pretty cool underwater adventure. I kind of like diving for stuff now. That was a lot more interesting, even though I didn't find my phone, than I thought it would be. I had fun. But probably do some more of that. Probably next summer. We're almost out of this summer, and I don't have very many more opportunities other than to go back and try to find my phone further downstream. But that being said, deer season's coming up. I hope everybody has success. I hope even your 4-year-olds, your 5-year-olds, your 6-year-olds, I hope they all have success, make great shots, put meat on the table and meat in the freezer, make awesome memories. And everybody who does not take your kids, if they are wanting to go, put them on a crossbow, put them on a bow, put them on a gun. If they can shoot good, take them. Take them out. Pick a spot, you know there's a little buck or some does, and let them go. Make a real memory. Like you know and I know, as hunters, these are the real memories. Video games are not real. It's not a real memory. You're never going to remember any of that stuff as if it mattered. It's just, oh, that was fun. What matters is what you did with your dad. As fathers, we're not here forever. Life is so unexpected. We could die at any moment in our life. It could just be over. Done. It could be a car wreck, it could be a heart attack, anything. Make these memories with your kids while you can. We're not here forever. They're not here forever. Be something you wish you had. That's what I've done. I'm not stopping. This freight train is chug-a-lugging along. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. We're coming this season. I promise you, you're going to see a lot of carnage from a lot of kids. They are putting down deer, and we're not going to be apologizing to anybody for us having success. So, again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. We'll see you on the next one.